Hello there and welcome. Why don't you find a nice, cozy spot to curl up and listen? Because I have a very special story for you today. It's a story about a very, very big crocodile, a very little monkey, and a secret that, well, it changed everything in their village. The story is called Kaka the Dentist's Knitting Secret, and it's all about what it really means to be brave and the wonderful surprises you can find when you just look a little closer.
But before we begin our story, I want you to imagine something with me. Are you ready? Okay, you can close your eyes if you like. Can you picture a crocodile? I mean a really big green crocodile with a long snout and lots of teeth. Got it? Good. Now, can you picture that exact same crocodile knitting? With colorful, soft yarn and two little pointy needles? It sounds a little bit silly, doesn't it? Well, I want you to hold on to that picture in your mind because it's a very, very important part of our story today.
All right, let's travel together to our story. It all begins in a cheerful, bustling little place called Animal Village.
Oh, Animal Village was just the sweetest place you could ever dream of. The sunshine always seemed to be peeking through the leaves of the big, friendly trees. Little rabbits with fluffy white tails would play tag in the fields of yellow buttercups, and squirrels chattered away so happily as they scampered up and down the trunks of the old oak trees. It was a happy place, but, even in this joyful village, there was one little building that no one, not one single animal, liked to go near. It had a little sign outside that read, Dr. Kaka, Dentist. You see, the dentist in Animal Village was a crocodile named Kaka, and Kaka wasn't just big, he was enormous. He was so big that when he walked down the street, the little teacups in the bakery would start to rattle on their shelves. And his mouth? Oh, his mouth was the scariest part of all. When he would open it for a big crocodile yawn, you could see rows and rows and rows of teeth. Each tooth was as long as a little mouse's tail and as sharp as a sewing needle, and they just gleamed under the lights of his office. The little animals would whisper scary stories about him. I heard, a little dormouse would whisper, that he sharpens his teeth on rocks every single morning. And I heard, a little sparrow would add, that his favorite snack is little animals. Now, of course, no one knew if any of this was true, but just the thought of it was enough to make everyone's fur stand right on end.
So all the animals in the village did everything they possibly could to avoid going to see Dr. Kaka. They brushed their teeth for a very, very long time, every morning and every night. But then, one day, something happened that would change everything. And it all started with a little monkey and a very, very painful tooth.
In the village lived a little monkey named Pippi. And Pippi was usually just bursting with energy, always swinging from branches and telling funny jokes to his friends. But not today. Oh no. Today, Pippi had a big, big problem. It was a throbbing, aching, jabbing pain in one of his back teeth. It hurt so much he couldn't even enjoy his favorite breakfast of mashed bananas. The pain felt like a tiny little drum was beating right inside his cheek. Boom, boom, boom. Poor Pippi curled up into a little ball on his favorite tree branch. Ow, 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 he moaned, holding his little cheek with his hand. Tears started to well up in his big brown eyes. My tooth hurts so much. What am I gonna do? Well, his mother came over and patted his back gently. Pippi, my dear, she said, I think you have to see the dentist. Pippi's eyes grew wide with fear. No, I don't want to. I can't. I'm so scared of Kaka's giant mouth, and I'm so scared of all his sharp, pointy teeth. But the tooth just kept hurting. It got worse and worse and worse. It hurt so much that Pippi couldn't think about anything else. Finally, he knew he couldn't just lie there in his tree. He had to do something. And that's when a little idea popped into his head. It was a brave idea, but it was also a very sneaky idea. I know what I'll do, he thought to himself. I won't go in. No. I'll just creep over to the dentist's clinic and take a tiny peek inside. Just one little look. And if I see anything scary, I'll run away as fast as my monkey legs can carry.
And so, Pippi began his secret mission. He quietly climbed down from his tree and started to tiptoe through the village. Each step he took was as quiet as a leaf falling to the ground. When he finally reached the clinic, he hid behind a big flower pot right by the door. His little monkey heart was beating so fast inside his chest, it felt like a woodpecker drumming on a tree. Thump, 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 thump. He took a deep, shaky breath, reached out his small hand, and very, very gently, he pushed the big wooden door. The door made a tiny, quiet sound. Creak, as it opened just enough for one little monkey to peek through. Now, what do you think he saw? When Pippi peeked through that little crack in the door, what was going on inside? Was Kaka the crocodile polishing his long, pointy teeth? Or maybe he was laying out all of his scary dentist tools. What do you think? Take a moment and make a guess. Well, what Pippi saw, it was not at all what he expected. It wasn't scary, it wasn't loud, it was a secret. A very quiet and a very, very gentle secret. Peeking through that crack, Pippi saw the huge green crocodile Kaka, and he was sitting in his big dentist chair. But he wasn't doing anything scary at all. In fact, perched right on top of his big, bumpy head, he was wearing a little handmade sunny yellow woolly hat with a fluffy pom-pom right on top. And in his huge, scaly crocodile hands, holding 2 long needles, he was very carefully knitting. That's right, he was knitting a beautiful, long scarf with stripes of every single color of the rainbow. And because Kaka's hands were so big and his claws were so long, he looked a little clumsy holding those little knitting needles. He was concentrating so hard, with his long tongue sticking out just a tiny bit from the side of his mouth. Click, clack, went the needles. And sometimes, the soft, colorful yarn would get tangled up on one of his pointy teeth, and he would have to stop and very, very gently untangle it. He didn't look scary at all. In fact, he looked a little bit funny.
Seeing this enormous crocodile, the one who was supposed to be the scariest animal in the whole village, looking so focused and, well, so cute with his little yellow hat and his rainbow scarf, Pippi completely forgot to be afraid. He even forgot all about his throbbing tooth. A funny feeling just bubbled up inside his chest, and he couldn't hold it back. A little giggle escaped from his mouth. Tee-hee!
Kaka heard that tiny sound, and he jumped in surprise. He dropped one of his knitting needles on the floor with a clatter. "Who's there?" he called out, and he quickly tried to hide his colorful knitting behind his back, as if it were a big, embarrassing secret. When he saw Pippi's little face peeking through the door, his big crocodile face looked, well, a little bit embarrassed. And in a soft, quiet voice, a voice as gentle as leaves rustling in the wind, he whispered, "Oh, you found me." Kaka then slowly bent down and picked up his dropped needle. He looked at Pippi and gave a small, shy smile. "You see," he said softly, his voice so much quieter than Pippi ever could have imagined, "I know I look very big and my teeth look very sharp. I think it makes everyone scared of me. But really, my favorite thing to do is quiet things, like knitting. It helps my big hands practice being gentle. And I love being very, very gentle when I'm taking good care of all the little animals' teeth." And right there, in that quiet moment, as Pippi watched the giant crocodile shyly hold up his rainbow knitting, Pippi learned something incredibly important. He learned what true courage really is. You see, as Pippi looked at the big, shy crocodile, all of his fear just melted away like a snowman in the warm spring sunshine. He realized that Kaka's outside, his big green scales and his long, sharp teeth, it didn't match his inside at all. His inside was warm and kind and gentle, just like that soft, woolly scarf he was knitting. So Pippi took a deep breath. He pushed the door all the way open and he walked right into the room. And then he did the bravest thing he had done all day. He looked right at Kaka, pointed to his own cheek and said, "My tooth hurts." And then, all by himself, he climbed up into the big dentist's chair. And you know what happened? Kaka was the gentlest dentist in the whole entire world. His big hands were so careful, and his movements were so soft and so slow. He used a tiny little mirror to look at Pippi's sore tooth, and he told Pippi exactly what he was doing the entire time. And guess what? The checkup didn't hurt one single bit. In fact, it felt so good to finally have someone taking care of the pain. And on that day, Pippi learned that true courage isn't about not being afraid of anything at all. No, that's not really it. True courage is when you feel a little bit scared, but you are willing to look a little bit closer anyway. You're willing to discover that something or someone that looks scary on the outside might actually be very kind and very gentle on the inside. Just like Pippi found out, sometimes all it takes is a tiny little bit of courage to open a door to a whole new, wonderful world you never even knew was there. A world where giant crocodiles wear funny yellow hats, and the scariest place in town is actually the kindest. From that day on, Pippi was never afraid of the dentist again. In fact, sometimes he would visit Kaka just to see what new, colorful thing he was knitting.
And so, my dear friends, I have one last question for you. Just like gentle Kaka the Dentist, who used his big, strong hands for something kind and creative, is there something gentle and kind that you would like to do today? Thank you so much for listening to our story. I hope it filled your heart with a little bit of warmth. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.